Good afternoon, HMS Bobcats. Mr. Flato here. Welcome back to another week at the Helena Middle School. Today's Bob lesson is one I made several years ago, had kind of lost sight of, and really needed to bring back. So I'm doing that today. When we think about life, we think about getting to where we want to be in life, think about achieving what you want to achieve. Hopefully everybody has a vision, goals, something they want to achieve, somewhere they want to be, something they want to accomplish in life. And in order to get there, takes hard work, takes perseverance, takes things like maybe making the right connections, for sure finishing your school, getting into maybe an educational program or a training program that'll help you get there. Sometimes it takes a little bit of luck, but one thing that I'm becoming more and more convinced of in life is it takes your ability to persevere when adversity comes your way. I'm convinced that adversity comes your way no matter who you are in life. Some of us face a lot of adversity, some of us a little bit of adversity, but adversity and whether you can make it over that hump and have enough grit and perseverance to get through it really makes or breaks a lot of people in life. You can have the perfect training, you can have the perfect upbringing, you can have the perfect preparation, but if you can't persevere and get through hard times in life or overcome obstacles, all that sometimes can be for nothing. So on today, going to talk about the importance of grit, perseverance, how important it is in life, how to develop it, mindset, all those wonderful things. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys get something awesome out of this.
All right, we're on to this week's Bob lesson. This week's Bob lesson is called Developing Grit and Perseverance. But first, let's be our best at HMS this week. Let's be safe, let's be responsible, let's be respectful, and let's be a learner.
Hey Bobcats, Mr. Flato here. Working my summer job for Black Dog Flooring, sanding and refinishing some hardwood floors today. And as I was working, I had an idea that I wanted to incorporate into our Bob lesson on grit. It's currently August, but I never stop thinking about you guys and how I can help you guys out in life. And so today I'm going to talk about grit that we use to sand down hardwood floors and how each different grit has a different purpose. And I just want to show you some of that as I talk about this metaphor real quick. So as you can see here, we have different levels of sandpaper with different levels of grit or tackiness to it. This is a 24 grit. This is the highest level of grit. If you go like this with your fingers, you're going to feel it. It kind of hurts. It's not very smooth. This is for wood that is very unsmooth. The next is 60 grit. This still has a little bit of bite in it, but obviously not as much as the 24. Next in line is the 80 grit, and this is noticeably smoother with just a little bit more teeth to it a little less teeth to it than the 60. And then finally we have the 100 grit. And this actually goes up to 120, but I can't find 120 grit right now, and this is the smoothest. So theoretically, when you're doing a floor, you're going to start with the hardest to get the stain off, and then you're going to go one by one to slowly smooth it out. So finally, you may be asking yourself, Mr. Flato, what does sanding hardwood floors in different layers of grit have to do with us? Well, very simply, as you get older, you move in this direction. A lot of you start out with not a whole lot of grit to you. Okay, you guys are young, you haven't lived a whole lot of life yet, and as you go through life, you gain more and more grit, and it's a natural process. When you get to be maybe your parents' age, maybe you're somewhere in here where you've had some life experiences, you've been through some trials and tribulations, and as you get older, you develop more and more grit. And that grit equates to a mental and emotional toughness, strength to get through tough situations. And I'm going to talk here in a minute about how we increase our grit and how we increase our emotional and mental toughness levels. But the point I wanted to make with this video is many of us start out here. Many of you are right here now. Some of you have been through a little bit more stuff. You're starting to develop a little bit more grit to you. And as life goes on, you slowly develop more and more grit where you can handle these adverse or tough situations we go through in life.
All right, so how do we develop grit through perseverance? I came up with 5 slides that I'd like to share with you at this time. The first is to acknowledge and embrace life's ups and downs. Like the video that I had from the hike in Hawaii. Life is like being on the beach with waves coming in, and those waves keep coming, and they come one after another. And unfortunately, we can't avoid this in life. Now, some of these waves are bigger than others. Some are small, some are big, but they are going to happen. In life, there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days. You have to accept that. In life, you're going to catch some good breaks and you're going to catch some bad breaks. You have to accept that as well. When it's the bad breaks and when it's mostly bad days going on, you got to embrace and accept them and keep in mind that this is part of life. If you look at this stock market picture I put down on the right, to me, this kind of is how life goes. You've got many ups and downs. You've got some big ups, you've got some big downs. Those are big waves, those are small waves. But if you look at the beginning of the graph to the end of the graph, hopefully our lives are steady uphill. And that's what we really want, is for life to slowly be getting better and slowly be improving. And we do that through developing grit and persevering through the tough things in life. Slide number 2, understand the purpose for everything you go through in life. Life doesn't happen to us, it happens for us. And that's a really gritty type of thinking that we need to adopt. Find the meaning in everything and the lessons in everything, especially when things go wrong. Instead of having a victim's mentality where poor me, why did this have to happen to me, have a champion's mentality about it. Instead of wondering why that happened to you, ask yourself, I wonder what I'm supposed to learn from that. I wonder what the universe is trying to teach me right now. What lesson can I learn from this adverse situation that I'm going through that can make me stronger and grittier for my future? One of my favorite quotes is, whether the things in life that happen dull you or sharpen you is your choice. Think very carefully about that. Number 3, acknowledge and embrace your weaknesses. Newsflash, folks, we all have weaknesses in life. And I think it's human nature to focus on what we're good at while trying to hide our weaknesses and pretend they're not there. It's a feel-good thing to think about the things we're good at. It doesn't feel comfortable to acknowledge or address the things that we are weak at. Knowing your weaknesses can be a strength, however, if you acknowledge them and you work to improve on them. Many times in life, you're only going to be as good as your weaknesses. And I don't know where we got to this place in our society where it wasn't okay to have weaknesses. That's part of being authentic. That's part of being a human being. And I want to encourage you all to think about your weaknesses, own them, embrace them, and work on getting a little better at them every day. All right, my last slide is stay hopeful. Believe things will improve because you're committed to doing everything you can to improve your circumstances. Hope can be that inspiration to keep pushing forward and pushing on, not because we get to a point where we accept that things are going to be how they are, but because we believe hard circumstances are only temporary parts of a road to something great. When you stop hoping, when you stop dreaming, when you stop believing, is when you start dying. All right, this is a tough picture to see, but it kind of sums up, I think, some grittiness stuff, and it says you never know how close you are. Never give up on your dreams. You never know when that big break is going to happen. You never know when things are going to turn for the best. All right, our next slide is people that are gritty use all of the resources available. If you look around, there are an abundance of resources all around if you look hard enough, especially here at the school. Being gritty isn't saying, I'm going to do this alone. It's saying, I'm going to find a way to get what I need or get where I need to go or get through this situation using every available resource available to me. Successful people use all the tools and resources around them to equip themselves in being successful. And some of these resources may look like leaning on friends, it may look like family, it may look like helping teachers, getting help from counselors, getting help from coaches, getting help from mentors, so on and so forth. There's never a time in life where you're not going to go through something tough and you need to look around and say, what resources are around that I can utilize to help me? All right, so to tie this all together, from the intro until now, I talked about how as you go through life, you become more of a gritty piece of sandpaper. And part of that process is going through these experiences, weathering the storm, using those tools that I just taught you, and getting through them. And as you get through them, you gain more and more grit in life. All right, this week's quote of the week comes from Mr. Thomas Edison himself. And he said, many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up.
Folks, a lot of times success is right around the corner from when you think you want to quit. That's where perseverance and grit become so very important to meeting our goals.
All right, this week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week winners. We only had 2. I made that riddle way too hard. I apologize. Nice job, Josh Jocks and Jack Peterson. Come by and see me for a spoonful of jelly beans. Let's try again this week's Jelly Bean Question of the Week. What has only 2 words but thousands of letters? If you think you know the answer, get your answer submitted by the end of the week. Tune in next week. See if your name pops up on the screen. All right, Bobcats, let's make it a great week at the Helena Middle School.